Molly, the latest hotspot for illegal border crossings, Southern California. And some migrants are not even waiting for Border Patrol agents to pick them up. Our Fox team spotted a group of Colombian migrants who got tired of waiting, so they ordered a rideshare car and took off. It's not clear if they knew they'd crossed illegally. Let's bring in Arizona Congresswoman Debbie Lesko. She's a member of the House Border Security Caucus. Congresswoman, thanks for joining us this afternoon. What do you make of rideshare at the border?
Just when you think it can't get worse, it gets worse. I mean, they know, the illegals know that Biden isn't going to enforce the immigration laws, and so they feel comfortable doing whatever they want. I mean, this is dangerous, it's preventable, and we just need a new president so that we can secure the border.
Do you think it also demonstrates that Border Patrol is just so overwhelmed that they can't get to these areas and that people can actually cross the border, order a ride share, wait for the car in the middle of maybe nowhere, I don't know, and then get in and be off?
It absolutely does. In fact, I went down to the Nogales, Arizona border last month. And the Border Patrol officers said that they are so busy processing illegal immigrants that there were only in this huge section, only 2 Border Patrol officers actually watching the border. And that's what's happening. There's also a shortage of Border Patrol officers. The morale has gotten so low because Biden won't enforce the laws, and they don't feel that their job is useful anymore because all they're doing is processing people, doing child care. Biden is flying people into the country directly in addition to the illegal immigrants crossing the border. It's a sad state of affairs, and we have done everything that we could, Republicans in the U.S. House, to try to stop this, but Biden won't stop it, and he could today.
Border Patrol agents in Texas over the last few years have told us the same thing, that they're spending way too much time processing people, and they can't even handle those who are coming over. But I want to take this back to Arizona, where the Arizona legislature, the Senate there, has advanced a proposal, a measure to allow citizens potentially there to vote on a law that would allow local police officers there to basically enforce the border. If they believe people have crossed illegally, that they could detain them. Are you in support of Arizona citizens being able to vote on that? And if so, do you think that something that they should vote for?
I absolutely support that border security ballot measure, and it already passed the Arizona State Senate. It is being assumed that it will pass the Arizona State House, and they had to go directly to the ballot because our Democrat governor, Katie Hobbs, keeps vetoing border security bills. And I think that the voters in Arizona will pass this measure. And, you know, we have to take it upon ourselves, the states, to defend ourselves against this invasion. When you have Jordanians that are going to military bases and Chinese that are going to military bases in California, this is a dangerous set of circumstances that are going on. It's a humanitarian crisis, it's a costly crisis, but it is also dangerous for the United States and our state. And so I hope that voters in Arizona will pass this ballot measure, and maybe we can get some kind of sanity back into our border security here in Arizona.
This is something on the state level that's been tried before. Texas passed a similar law. It's caught up in the court system because it is in U.S. federal law that it is the province of the federal government to defend border policies, to promote border policies, not of state governments. So do you think that this would survive a challenge, and do you think that Texas law is going to be allowed to stand?
I hope so. I was in the Arizona State Legislature when we passed SB 1070, and that was when the Obama administration wasn't enforcing immigration law. Now it's much worse. There's millions more crossing the border now. And we have a new U.S. Supreme Court. So back then, part of that bill, SB 1070, was gutted by that Supreme Court, but we have a more conservative Supreme Court now. So I'm hopeful that they will stand up for states' rights and states being able to defend themselves.
And back here in D.C., there are a couple of dozen Democrats who have formed a a House border security task force, a number of Democrats running in Congress who are members of Congress running for re-election have openly criticized President Biden on his handling of the border. Has that led to any type of conversation with Republicans and Democrats on the House side on how to address this?
Well, you would think it would. I mean, we have Ruben Gallego, who's currently a congressman, a Democrat congressman running for the U.S. Senate here in Arizona, and he sure has changed his tune. I mean, I served with Ruben Gallego in the state legislature and now in Congress. He was part of the Progressive Caucus. He always voted against border security. Now, all of a sudden, he is. And so I think it's just show, quite frankly, what some of these Democrats are doing because they want to win elections and they know that this is important to the American people.
And very quickly, you had the Senate over on the other side of the Capitol. It didn't pass that bipartisan Senate proposal on immigration. It's a proposal that would have tightened up asylum laws. It would have made it easier for people to be deported. It's something that the negotiator there, the Republican Senator James Lankford, called the most conservative bill in the past 4 decades. A number of Republicans have said that it needs to be done at the administration level and that Congress doesn't have to get involved here. But you've got plenty of provisions that Republicans have been talking about. Why not take the win and support it?
Well, it got less votes this time than it did last time, and James Lankford, who is the Republican that worked on it, voted against it this time. You know, it is worse than the status quo, and I think maybe he's seeing that now because it puts into law that it's perfectly okay for 4,999 illegal immigrants to cross a day. And that should not be in law. We need to enforce our current laws, and yes, President Biden can enforce immigration laws now. President Trump did it, and Biden can do it without legislation. Now, if we could get together on some reasonable legislation that would actually secure the border, like what we passed in the House, H.R. 2, then I would talk. But if it's going to be worse than the status quo, we can't vote for that, and that's why the Senate rejected it.
Arizona Congresswoman Debbie Lesko, thanks for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you.
Molly?